What's going on, Reds? Welcome back to another edition of Liverpool Latest. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate any bit of support you give to the channel, the podcast, wherever you're watching or listening. It helps me out. It helps Fan Arch out. Make sure you leave a rating, comment down below if the platform you're using allows you to, and most importantly, follow or subscribe to the show as well, because I have a lot to talk about today. Starting with Liverpool's potential road through the last 16. We have two options to face a team here to start off this round of 16. We have either Atletico Madrid or Galatasaray. Every time I feel like I'm going to say that wrong, but no matter how many times I listen to the pronunciations, I feel like I'm saying it wrong. But Galatasaray, I think that's how it's said. First leg would be either March 10th or 11th away, and the second leg would be in the 17th and or 18th at Anfield. So either of these two matchups, whoever we get, is a bit of a rough start for us in this stage of the game. Atletico Madrid is a very hard style, or probably the worst stylistic opponent we could probably draw. And why would Slot and the team want to avoid it? Well, considering our controlled possession, our mid-block suffocation, and our territorial dominance, it plays directly into Atletico Madrid's style, which is a deep 5-3-2 formation, as well as transitional traps, very good box defending, and chaos creation from low shot volume. Basically, the same problem we have more or less been running into all season. Congested box, can't get a shot off when we need to, just a bunch of passing play that eventually leads to a potential counterattack. It's not the most ideal thing, considering we're currently missing a couple of key members here. I mean, Connor Bradley is hurt with a fucked up knee. Jeremy Frimpong is hurt. Whenever he gets back, hopefully sooner rather than later around this time, we'll have to see what happens. But Galatasaray is a more volatile opponent, but probably more preferable because a couple reasons. They press higher, they leave half-space gaps, and they accept open transitions, which suits styles of play like Mo Salah's isolation, Szoboszlai's late runs, as well as McAllister's box crashing, like we just saw against Forest. So, and I would like to see a bit of a revenge game against them because, well, they did technically embarrass us in a period of time where we weren't necessarily performing all that great. Now, if we somehow pass either of those two teams, we are left to a few options here of who we could potentially face. Chelsea, Barcelona, Newcastle, and Paris Saint-Germain. Don't say that too loud because Arne Slot's going to cream his underwear just hearing the syllables going into all of that. So, I mean, I don't know how Barcelona is performing this year. I also don't know how PSG is performing. What I can attest to is Chelsea and Newcastle, and they've had hit or miss games for sure. Newcastle is definitely farther down in the Premier League table than Chelsea is. Honestly, the most likely scenario is that we get a Barcelona rematch or an all-English Newcastle match or PSG. I don't really see, from what I've read, Chelsea doesn't seem to be an option for us at the moment, especially considering that they're currently in a bit of a title race right now as well. Now, if we get past that section, we have the semifinals. That's where we may have to face Bayern Munich, Sporting CP. That's news to me because I'm not unfamiliar with them for sure. And Bayer Leverkusen, which happens to be Xabi Alonso's most recent team prior to Real Madrid. So Leverkusen would probably be the most fascinating tactically against Slot. But again, don't really know how these teams are performing in their own respective leagues. so I can't necessarily give you an idea of if we'll win that or not. I would like to see a match against Leverkusen, though. I know we've beaten them in the past, so that would certainly be a fun match. I think Bayern Munich would be good too, as well. Sporting CP, I'm unfamiliar with what they are, or who they are, or where they're from. I'll be honest with you. So, I mean, if we face them, cool. It'll give me an opportunity to watch, but I don't necessarily. I would prefer the two other teams, Munich and Leverkusen, for sure. The final, which would take place in Budapest on the 30th of May, could potentially be, if we get through all of that, Arsenal or City. Those are the projected other teams to face us in that game. Now, Arsenal, I have a little bit more of hope for, considering not only did we beat them this season, we've also drawn against them in a game that probably they should have won, without a shadow of a doubt. City, I have a bit more of a little bit fear towards, mostly because of how well they have dominated us all season. So, you have to ask ourselves, if all of this is to come to fruition and we make it to Budapest in May, what's going to happen? Who are we going to face? Do we have the opportunity to screw Arsenal out of a title? Or is Manchester City going to potentially slap us around like they have done all season? That is a question we have yet to see until next month, when this whole shit show that is the Champions League round of 16 starts. And they say March Madness is crazy. We're about to see some March Madness right now, or in a very, very soon, couple weeks now, period of time. Another thing I want to talk about, speaking of foreign teams, apparently, I was doing some reading, and there's some talk going around. Don't know how true this is, but apparently Florian Wirtz has been linked to Real Madrid. It seemed like Madrid was in a bit of contact with Wirtz or his camp, which consists of his father, who acts as his primary representation, as well as his commercial agent, Volker Struth. It seems like Struth contacted Xabi Alonso when he was head of the team at that point, and was also told to contact Florentino Perez. So obviously, there has been some direct contact recommending Wirtz. Currently, we don't know if there's any transfer noise that they could potentially be still interested. We don't know for sure. There has been talks that potentially they could pick him up or steal him from us. And as if they haven't taken enough shit from us. They took Trent. They were potentially going to take Konate. That seems to have fallen through, and we still don't know what Konate is doing as far as his role on the team going into next season. But if they take Wirtz away from us, we are probably going to be very screwed, because Wirtz has been probably one of our best players this season for the better part of the last several months. If Szoboszlai is the top of the food chain, Wirtz is an easy close second or third, with Ekitike being either in the other option. So that would be a rough loss. I don't know how long Wirtz is under contract for, but we know it may not be true until either 2027 or 2028. But they certainly have the budget and the squad to potentially make that kind of move, or at least entice him to make that kind of move. But I would prefer that he would stay with us, because I would be very scared to lose yet another player, or potentially lose another player to Real Madrid again. Now, here's the other thing, though, that I was a bit interested in, because as I was reading about the Florian Wirtz situation and his deal with Madrid, it seems like we have a potential short-term opportunity if that was to happen. And that is the individual by the name of a right-winger by the name of Roland Salai, who is a Hungarian international footballer who happens to play for Galatasaray, funny enough. Um, he has the positions at right back, attacking midfielder, as well as secondary striker. And he started his career as a forward winger, but has become something of a utility wide player in recent seasons. And the reason why Liverpool are looking at him is because with Connor Bradley injured, Liverpool have had basically makeshift fullbacks, which, again, not something I'm particularly fond of, especially when we have other players who can play fullback. Midfielders covering wide defensive roles with Szoboszlai and a distinct lack of depth behind the starting right back option. So Salai, who has been used as an attacking right back or a right back or wing back hybrid at Galatasaray, meaning he could also defend wide, progress the ball, and deliver crosses early while also pressing high, which is a very slot-friendly style of play that we have seen over the course of this season. So he joined Galatasaray from SC Freiburg in 2024. So very recently. Very recently. But the funny thing about this whole deal is that he potentially has a 9 million euro contract that we can buy him out of from Galatasaray, which is absolutely insane. That's technically not only a short-term opportunity for us, but actually a potential steal. I mean, having only to pay $9 million when we've already spent close to $500 million over the course of the last season, that'd be a nice change of pace, especially if he's a quality player, as it seems like my notes make him out to be. I think it would matter. And I think it matters tactically, too, because, again, with Connor Bradley being injured and the ongoing right back issues, he seems like a pretty solid fit. He could also be a solid fit for the right wing option if potentially Mo Salah decides to leave at the end of the season or get transferred in January. So there certainly is a bit of a real recruitment edge too, because, well, he's teammates with not only Dominik Szoboszlai but Milos Kerkez on the Hungarian national team. And even though they did not fare well to get into the World Cup, there was certainly a lot of potential there. So why not continue to build what is already a pretty solid foundation of chemistry and basically pick him up? I mean, on paper, it seems like a no-brainer. It's a matter of if they actually decide they want to go about making a move such as that. But that's pretty, I mean, 9 million is like a freaking godsend number, if you ask me. It's an absolute steal. It's a matter of a couple of things. Again, is Vert's going to go to Real Madrid? Is what's going to happen with the right back position? If Frimpong is going to stay healthy? If Connor Bradley will ever be the same after his injury because he had suffered a catastrophic one? It's going to be a very interesting thing to keep an eye on. I'm not saying that a transfer could happen, but it is certainly a transfer idea that I would like to see happen or come to fruition if it is if it makes sense for Liverpool to do so at the time. A move that Liverpool could potentially make that I don't know if I necessarily agree with would be the quote-unquote Fabinho replacement by the name of Federico Valverde, who is, what do you know, from Real Madrid. And seems like this recommendation comes from Gus Poyet, who believes Liverpool need a dominant, high-level, box-to-box midfielder since Fabinho left for the Saudi leagues, which he currently plays for Al Ittihad. I know I butchered that. I'm sorry. So he's also been, shockingly enough, compared to the likes of Steven Gerrard by Carlo Ancelotti due to the fact that he has, long-range shooting, athleticism, a good gas tank on him as far as cardio goes, a big game temperament, and the ability to play multiple midfield roles. Here's the thing, though. When you break it down to brass tacks, Valverde is not necessarily the true Fabinho replacement that the media in this particular story I researched makes him out to be. Fabinho was a positional number 6 player. He had a defensive screen. He was a great tempo stabilizer. All around a very good defensive midfielder. And unfortunately, he left around the time I was starting to watch Liverpool, so I didn't get to have enough time with him to watch him play. But it was certainly, I've seen some of the highlights from YouTube, and I've seen highlights in the way people talk about him online. Very beloved and considered a very underrated player from Liverpool fans. And the thing is, Valverde is not necessarily a true number 6. He's more of a high energy number 8 with a who's a transitional, destroyer, more of a wide midfielder and pressing structure, and occasionally used as a right back for Madrid. So technically speaking, he doesn't play as much like Fabinho. He plays more like prime Steven Gerrard, who was a power 8. So the realism of this is very, very low. I don't see this being true. You know, he's come through Madrid's system, potentially could be a Madrid player for life, or unless he goes to other opportunities, and I don't think the Premier League and Liverpool would be one of them. He's 27, entering his prime years, and he's already won multiple Champions Leagues with Real Madrid, and he's also a core to their tactical structure, and he's going to cost us a shit ton of money, 120 million at the minimum, probably. So, plus he actually has no incentive to leave. I mean, they have a current midfield core of Jude Bellingham, Eduardo Camavinga, Aurelian, Chouameni, and of course Valverde. So I mean, it's not likely. It's not likely. It's a great fantasy transfer idea on paper, if we're looking at it more from a Steven Gerrard perspective as opposed to a Fabinho, because they're kind of two different players. But the interesting part of the angle from this article that I saw, or the interesting part of the article that kind of gives it a different angle, is the whole thing of Mo Salah suggesting that considering he may be nearing the end of his Liverpool career, it could be a much more realistic storyline to acquire Valverde. So I'm not sure. It's an idea. That's what I have to say. It's an idea. It's a rumor. It's a name that is being thrown around for the sake of news, and I do not see it happening. But I like the idea of it happening. It sounds like a fun thing to do on paper. He sounds like a good player on paper for us. Let's see if they actually want to cough up that kind of money, because I highly doubt it. And again, he has no incentive to leave in the first place. So he could pretty much retire a Real Madrid player for his whole career, considering how much he's come up through their system. But could also be an idea of, like Trent, where the grass could be greener on the other side, and he leaves his club that he spent most of his career in and goes off to greener pastures, newer opportunities. So may not be likely, but it's a little seed I want to plant in your head. And that's how I want to end today's episode of Liverpool Latest. I appreciate the fact that you joined me today. Leave a like, comment down below, leave a rating, do whatever you got to do to help the show grow. Tell your friends about it. If you're a Liverpool fan, I want your support every single episode, almost every single day. I got a lot of good stuff coming up. We're entering a very prime and very scary time in the football world, where it's nearing championship time, between the Champions League, the Premier League coming to an end in a couple of months, the FA Cup we're still in. So why not get it from somebody who is a very passionate American fan who wants to give his own takes on the sport and the team. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you guys on the next one, because remember, when you join the Liverpool Latest family, you never walk alone.